Hey everybody, good energy to you guys. So there's a few things I feel like talking about. Uh, well, maybe I'll just focus in on one topic here. So this has been on my mind for a little bit of time. Making love or having sex. I've had sexual relations. I think with I think seven females. As long as I'm not forgetting somebody, I think it's about seven. So, I mean, for somebody who's 35 years old, that's really not too many people. Um, and I say it like it's a lot, but it's not. However, I only really ever, if I could even say I did, which I don't really think I did, but there's levels to everything, right? So there was one moment, and it was with the one girlfriend I had that, I felt a deeper connection in the moment than I ever have before with anybody else. And henceforth, I still have not found that level of connection with another human being. um, but even before that moment, and I'm going to go into why I think that moment was more profound to me than any other moment I've ever had with a female. But even before that, I've always, like I've mentioned before, I've always had some type of a recollection, I guess that's all I can call it, or remembrance of making love, and being in love. Very strong. It's always been a very strong feeling, and I think most people, to varying degrees, could perhaps feel the same way. Even if they've never been in love before, there's a reason why our eyes water, and our hearts flutter, when certain songs are played and certain scenes in movies, and whenever you see, or whenever you've been around, or I've been around a couple that's another thing too. Like, in all my observations on this reality as a 35-year-old man, I can't really say I've really witnessed too many couples that, I feel are really in love with each other. And I think a lot of that has to do, if not, it all has to do with really just being real with your emotions. And I say those words so simply, but it's not it is a simple thing, but it doesn't mean it's an easy thing to do. And I think a lot of that has to do with the nature of reality right now. Especially being a man, we're not taught about emotions at all. Like, this is something I thought about when I was a teenager. I was like, why don't they teach us about emotions in school? Why is there not a class that, goes deep into, the root causes of, different emotional states? It could be very beneficial. How many crimes are committed because people don't know how to deal with their emotions? How many people are addicted to drugs and other things because there's an emotional void or pain that they have inside themselves and they just don't know how to deal with it. It's a really big issue, and it's something that gets, overlooked and swept under the rug because an emotion is what? It's a feeling you have inside of yourself. It's not a physical object, or it's not something you can just easily point and identify and label. It's different for everybody, even though we all can relate to feeling joy and elation and having an orgasm, and what it feels like to hug somebody you really care for, and all this and that. It's still something that is, it's fleeting. It's something that's always changing. It's not a concrete, type of idea that you can just, label and put on a shelf. It has an infinite amount of different variations to it. But I think that's also why I think it's extremely imperative that we start implementing schools and teachings and examples and people sharing their emotions and how they've learned to deal with them and to navigate with them, because it's not an easy thing, and also in religions especially, I'm speaking, I really haven't even studied much of the Christian religion. I've never even read the whole Bible, but I know that at least Pops, or Joshua has told me that, there are no emotions. Emotions are just, which is something that's always felt kind of odd to me. And even in this book on Star Wars I'm reading, like one of the Jedi codes is no emotion. And it's like, it goes back to just that stoicism and, not showing, that's the thing about stoicism. It's like they're still feeling emotions. They just don't show it. They don't express it. And I do think that leads to a suppression of how one's feeling. And this goes back into lovemaking, because in order to really connect on a cellular level to another human being, you've got to be able to, first of all, really know, deep down inside what's inside your soul, and not only know it, but then also be able to show it and share it with another. Because if you can't even bring it out to show, how can you share it? If you keep your soul wrapped up inside of yourself all the time and you never ever talk about it, or you never ever show it to anybody else, or you don't even ever take the time to try to analyze it and identify it within yourself, then how can you really ever share your soul with somebody else? Doesn't make sense. So, there's a lot of sex out here. There's a lot of people looking for sex, having sex. The porn industry makes tons of money. Prostitution is, there's prostitutes in every single state, and then there's people that go to the prostitutes in every single state and all over the world too. But there's not very much lovemaking, Like I said, I still have yet to find a couple that I really feel, at least from what I remembered love looking and feeling like, that isn't love, and it goes back to the state and the times that we're in and the emotional fucking suppression that all of humanity is really going through right now. And not only, are we just not taught about these things, but as a man, to cry or to, share your emotions, especially amongst other men, or when you're growing up as a teenager, these are things that'll get you made fun of. These are things that get you beat up. These are things that'll get you bullied. These are things that can be perceived as a weakness. So because of that, perception, that's stigma that we have somehow cultivated in our society, in our culture, we have a lot of men who are emotionally suppressed and have a very low, ability to express their emotions and, to thus then share their emotions. Because again, if you can't even express how you feel, then how can you share that with somebody? How well are you really going to be able to share your emotion, your energy, your soul with somebody else if you can't even talk on it? There's nothing. What do you guys? That's why it's really all. People are really just fucking out here. They're just looking for pleasure in another different way. They just want somebody there that, helps, them feel not alone and also pleases their body and you please their bodies, but it's really not a cellular connection. It's just it's a very, shallow fucking, pleasure dance that you guys do together, and, it is sad. To me, I do find it very sad to know that we live in a time when, lovemaking and things of that nature are, dying in a lot of ways. And, I can tie this back into, it all goes back to our lack of good connection to God, to creation, to love, to living in harmony with life, living in harmony with who we truly are. and being real with who we truly are and how we truly feel about people and ourselves and the situations we're in. I also think when you work a job that doesn't resonate with your soul, that's essentially it's killing your soul. So you're dealing with experiencing a particular profession every single or 5 days out of the week or however often you work that goes against the deepest part of your being. So you're continuing to absorb however often you work this experience that goes against essentially your higher self or your more loving self. So you're constantly absorbing that information. So you're constantly becoming more of something that's alien to your soul, to to love, to your connection to God. And this is another problem with the society that we live in, is it's our whole culture is built on jobs that majority of us really don't like and very few actually love. And if they do love it, what are the reasons that they love it for? Is it a love that is just self-serving to their passions and something they like to do, or is it an actual love for something that's good for others? Because I think if you're really speaking about the soul, then that's about, spreading, to me, as a human being, I think this is something we all have, is that love for everybody and everything. This is why Jesus Christ, Yahushua, the Word, is the Son of God, is because he teaches us how to love ourselves and everybody else. That's all about soul. That's all about heart. That's all about being real. That's all about true, genuine affection for oneself and others. And because we live and we work these jobs that, not only do they not really benefit others in a real good way, but they're also perpetuating a satanic system that is not in line with good harmony with life and God. And it's also helping to perpetuate more exploitation throughout the world. So these things, they go against love, they go against soul, they go against the deeper part of our beings, they go against our higher self, whatever you want to call it. And, again, it's just another reason why, this infrastructure, the whole way we do everything, this whole reality needs to change, has to change. It is changing, but there's ways of change. There's different types of change, and there's ways that we can help cultivate that change to something that's more in favor with our loving, most high cellular selves. There's also a way to change it, further into this dark, deep pit of hell that we are slowly but surely walking into. And being complacent right now, it is not doing any good. Like, to just sit back and watch humanity crumble, and to continue to point fingers and blame people and look at all these other things besides what we can do ourselves, it's not really helping anything, in my opinion. As I said a few videos ago, all the information is essentially out there, has been out there. 9/11 happened over 20 years ago, okay? I mean, this shit has been known. Like, what else do we need to wake up? What more evidence do we need that we're living in a very corrupt time on the planet, and we have a very corrupt government that does not have our best interests at heart? This is, I think, very common. I mean, my mother, who doesn't look into conspiracy theories at all, is very well aware how corrupt the government is. But she has very little, if any, real ambition to do anything about it. She wants to leave. She wants to go to Europe. She wants to flee, instead of staying here and trying to help change things, which, again, I think is also not good. If you see a problem, if you're aware of a problem, then you should do what you can to try to help that problem out, especially if there's ways that we can help the problem out. And there are ways that we can help the problem out. But, people are so, and again, this goes back into the emotional suppression, because we're so suppressed and repressed as a people. Us breaking down our perceptual barriers and learning to socialize and mingle and work together with others is becoming, all the more difficult. I think this is also another reason why they've chosen to implement and push certain sicknesses, because the past 2 years has been a whole fucking, people have been more isolated because of it. To varying degrees, but we've all had to deal with more isolation than we would have before this sickness came. So all that isolation, again, it takes us away from connecting with others, takes us away from, opening up who we truly are and connecting and sharing and talking with other people, which, there's all different types of talks you can have. So, just by talking with somebody doesn't mean you're really connecting to them on a deep and intimate level. But, for those of us who do choose to speak in that type of a manner and use that type of language, the opportunity to do that has been greatly diminished because of this sickness. And then there's also just the collective fear that is inherent with these type of situations. And I think that's also by design. And now we're starting to see another sickness come around. And at the same time we're seeing this new sickness, we're also hearing word about how the World Health Organization is moving to implement more quarantines, more regulations, more restrictions, more rules, more isolation, more killing of the soul, more fear, more stress. This thing it's hitting on so many different levels. It's destroying our economy. It's destroying our hearts. It's destroying our immune system. It's putting fear into people's heads. It's creating conflict in families because people are, on different sides of the fence on how to deal with these things. This is literally an agenda. It's literally a strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a test in the morning, bro.
Oh, sorry. Was I being loud?
Yeah, dude, it's super loud.
All right.
I have a really important test tomorrow.
All right, man. I'll stop. Sorry, bro.
Thank you, man.
All right. Sleep good.
You too.
All right. Love you.
You too.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm gonna have to shut this video down, but yeah, man, just work on expressing your soul, man, and don't be afraid to do so. And the more that you learn about your soul and who you are and identify with it, the more you're able to express it, the more better you're going to be able to share that with somebody else and thus make love someday and find somebody whom you can fall in love with. So, all right, I love you guys. Have a good night. All right, bye.